This is Tony Poulos at TM Forum's Management World Congress here in Dublin. It's the first time it's been held in Dublin, and one of the keynote speakers straight off stage is Stephen SHURROCK, who is the CEO of O2 here in Ireland. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
You were talking today about introducing what you call the total digital life. What is that?
Well, we think as technology develops that we'll see consumers using digital services for things they've not done before. So for example, things like in the health sector, we think that will become more and more digitalized. We also absolutely see things like from an e-banking perspective, where we think the wallet and the phone will increasingly come together. So it's things like that, and I think the important thing from our perspective is making sure we take the customer on that journey and hold their hand a little bit through the changes in technology. It's all well and good for us early adopters who can set up our own handsets. We know how to do that. We know how to do many of these things. But increasingly, as that goes more penetrated into our customer base, I think we have to think a little bit more about how we take the customer on that journey.
What are the consumer trends you're seeing in this market? You know, O2 is part of Telefonica, which is a very large group worldwide. But what are the trends you're particularly seeing here in Ireland that may be different?
What we're seeing here is a really big polarisation, actually. On the one hand, what you have is consumers really looking for value, some of the consumers, and they will call us almost expressly with that question: how can you save me money today? Now, that's not a great surprise given the economic climate we find ourselves in. So you have that behaviour. The other behaviour you have is customers who are absolutely embracing the digital life, and they're going on this journey. They're surfing more, they're updating via their mobile, their social networking site, and from a business perspective, they're using a lot more of these services. So we see quite a polarisation actually in terms of customer behaviour. But as ever, it's making sure you remain relevant to the customer needs.
Is the economic situation changing the way consumers think and are using services in Ireland?
So I think certainly we see optimization. Customers are really ensuring that they spend to their budget. And you know, consumer agencies here have done a number of different bits of research about customers actively buying cheaper versions of things that they've bought before. Yeah. On the other hand, what you of course see is SME stability, you see MNC investment here. So on that perspective, what you have is organisations wanting to understand how can we help them be more efficient? How can we help them grow in this new space? And that's kind of some of the conversations we're starting to have around cloud and ICT services.
Well, I'll get to cloud in a minute, but you also have introduced the O2 Money Card.
Yep.
How does that work with your customers?
So this is a card. This is our first step into the financial services space. This is a card that allows you to put money onto the card. You spend what's on the card, and then you top it back up again. So it gives you ultimate control of your money, and of course with all the security from our partnership with Visa. So we've had great feedback from customers. Customers really appreciating the security side of it, but also the control that this gives them. And at times that we're in at the moment in terms of the economic position, it's been really welcomed by customers. So it's gone extremely well for us from launch, and what we're seeing is customers actually put in much more in terms of load balances on this card than we ever imagined. Of course, for us, this is the first step, and we see ourselves moving on in this space over coming quarters and years.
How does it differ from a bank debit card, for example?
Well, with this card, you can only spend what you put on the card, so you can't go overdrawn, for example. It's exactly the same concept as a prepay phone. Load your 20 euros onto it or your 50 euros onto it. You spend that, then you have to reload it again to use it.
The minister, Irish minister earlier that spoke, Mr. Rabbit, said that he was working very closely, or the government was working very closely with all the operators, and mentioned you in particular. How do you work closely with government?
So we have a number of initiatives that we're working with government on at the moment. One of the particular ones is the broadband scheme at the moment. So you know, over recent years, there's been huge investment in infrastructure here in Ireland, which is fantastic, and you know, has seen the transformation in many ways of the country. So what we're doing is continuing to work with the government to ensure that we invest as industry in the right way, alongside government if necessary, to ensure that we get and continue to accelerate ourselves in that particular space, so that we have the right digital infrastructure for the future going forward, so that we can continue to attract the inward investment that we need.
And that would likely be cloud services, which you did touch on earlier.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the cloud space, and what are you, aiming for at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment we're looking to launch that later on this year. What we are doing at the moment is having a lot of conversations with our customers and seeing that demand that's there. As I say, we are having conversations with sort of SMEs, MNCs, but also government in this respect, because they can see, as all our customers can, some of the efficiencies that you can get from investing in this particular space.
Makes sense. Stephen Sharrock, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.